Sergei Pavlovich and Tom Aspinall, future 5-round main event in the UFC, maybe for the vacant belts after Jon Jones retires, or maybe Tom Aspinall does get the Jon Jones fights. Let's say he wins that one, and we got the #1 contender in Sergei Pavlovich stepping up to fight Tom Aspinall for the belt. Who do I think wins? Now, this is a very, 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 very fun fight that was originally supposed to happen back in 2021, co-main events for UFC Fight Night, Brunson versus Till. I believe you got a short notice opponent in Sergei Spivak, who Tom Aspinall TKO'd easily in round number 1. He ended up submitting Volkov in round 1 and knocking out Marcin Tybura with only a crazy knee injury to end up having him lose in his MMA UFC fight. That he's only lost was that Curtis Blades very fluke knee injury. And a Sergei Pavlovich fight is really, really interesting because Sergei is very tall, very big. He's a fridge of the heavyweight division, very strong, very powerful, as we've seen in all of his UFC fights. And none have even entered the round number 2. Started the UFC with a loss, came back a while after that against Marcelo Golm, a minute knockout. Maurice Green, 2-minute knockout. Went right into the top 15 after originally trying to fight Cyril Gane, then trying to fight Tom Aspinall, then Tanner Boser. Those all got canceled. And then boom, 4-minute knockout. 55-second knockout, 54-second knockout, and a 3-minute knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, this fight would be absolutely insane because my man Sergei has not gone to a decision in the last 6 years and has not gone into round 2 in any of his UFC fights. The man has 15 knockout wins out of his 18. Tom Aspinall has 9 knockout wins out of his 13, with 4 by submission. 0% of his fights are going to a decision. So what would I say for this fight? Sergei Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall. They were to fight 5 rounds. I'll say it right now, that is not going to a decision. Either Tom Aspinall is winning late in round number 3, round number 4, round number 5, after Sergei lets his hands go early on in that fight. And then Aspinall starts to mix in takedowns, wear on the gas tank of Sergei Pavlovich, and maybe submits him or even finishes him due to that exhaustion in those later rounds. I see that being a very, very possible and likely path to victory for Tom Aspinall, is just winning in those later rounds once Sergei Pavlovich has kind of thrown all the things he needs to throw, and Aspinall uses his speed to win in those later rounds to finish him off. Now that's a good possibility. That really is. And I will say, I think eventually Tom Aspinall will beat Sergei Pavlovich, but I don't think it's going to be in their first encounter. I actually predict, this is a weird prediction, but one I'm happy to make right now. I'm predicting that we're going to get a trilogy between Tom Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich. Whether Aspinall fights for the belt against Jon Jones, or they do the vacant belt versus Sergei Pavlovich. I'm assuming whoever wins that one, maybe defends against someone else, wins that, and the other guy keeps winning, because I think both guys are on a league of their own in the heavyweight division right now. I think they both keep winning, and I think we get sort of a nice Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno thing happen here, where we get some close back and forth fights, and then boom, Aspinall finish, some crazy back and forth stuff, and then Sergei gets a finish, and then a 5-round war. I do actually weirdly expect a trilogy between Tom Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich. Now, for the prediction for the first fight, because I do believe there will be 3. I think for the first fight, Aspinall is going to get caught. I think Aspinall is going to get caught. There's not much of a technical breakdown to be made here. I just think Aspinall is going to try to stay at range, mix in his shots at range, land some good ones, get hit with a few shots from Sergei Pavlovich, and then Sergei, I think, is going to get Aspinall's back to the cage eventually. Aspinall is going to start faking some takedowns, land some good shots. We're going to be like, wow, Aspinall's really doing good in this round, outstriking Sergei, using his speed to land that, and then boom! Aspinall gets knocked out right at the end of round number 1. Sergei Pavlovich, your new heavyweight champion. That is actually going to be my prediction for their first fight. For their second fight, I think Aspinall figures out and fine-tunes some stuff. And in the second fight, I think he closes that distance much better. Gets the takedown on Sergei Pavlovich. In round number 1, wins it very, very slightly. Gets hurt in round number 2. Fights through some adversity and survives to round number 3. And then submits Sergei Pavlovich with a rear naked choke. And in the middle of round number 3, and then I got a 1-1 scorecard with Aspinall and Sergei Pavlovich, with the second one being really, really back and forth. Then I got the third fight, the Trilogy, in 2025, a banger of heavyweight clash. Aspinall versus Pavlovich Trilogy, 2025 pay-per-view main event. And I am going to go Aspinall to win that one with a, let's go with decision. Let's go decision. At that point, they figured out each other. Sergei's takedown defense is getting better. Tom Aspinall's head movement and not getting hit with a big shot that caught him in the first fight. That's all going to get better. And I think the third fight is going to be really, really good. There's going to be back and forth action. Aspinall gets a takedown, almost gets a submission. Sergei hurts Aspinall on the feet, and we get a back and forth banger in the heavyweight division. 5-round fight of the year contender that Aspinall narrowly wins. That's what I'm going to go. That's what I'm going to go. The first fight, the first one, I'm going against the grain here because I know Tapology, and I know all of you guys are probably like, nah, Aspinall's going to go out there and outspeed him. He's going to take down Sergei. I think he will in the second fight. And I think he'll do some of that in the third fight as well. But I think for the first fight, I think Aspinall's going to get caught. I think the whole London crowd, if they do it in London, is going to go crazy. And they're going to be shocked. But he'll come back. He's only 30 years old. He'll come back when he's like 31, 32. Avenge the loss to Sergei. Have the Trilogy. Those are my thoughts. What do y'all think? Aspinall, Sergei Pavlovich.